China protests the US downing of a Chinese balloon over Atlantic waters, saying it violates international norms. Former Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf has died in Dubai after a long illness. He was 79.
Pope Francis makes a final appeal for peace and calls on South Sudan to lay down its weapons at an open-air mass concluding his visit.
The US has shot down a giant Chinese balloon that it says has been spying on key military sites across the country. Footage on local TV networks showed the balloon falling to the sea after a small explosion. Republicans had criticized President Joe Biden for not shooting down the balloon sooner, but the administration argued it would have endangered civilians.
I told them to shoot it down.
On Wednesday?
On Wednesday.
But the recommendation
They said to me, let's wait till the safest place to do it.
What does this mean for China, relations with China?
China insists it was a weather balloon that veered off course. Its foreign ministry later expressed what it called strong dissatisfaction and protest against the US's, quote, attack on civilian unmanned aircraft. So far, the only consequence known to the public has been the cancellation of the Secretary of State Antony Blinken's trip to Beijing, where he was to meet President Xi Jinping. Pakistan's former President General Pervez Musharraf has died at age 79. The ex-leader who seized power in a coup in 1999 died in Dubai after a long illness. Perhaps most famously, Musharraf supported the US-led invasion of Afghanistan after the 9/11 attacks, despite domestic opposition. From 2001, he served as Pakistan's president for 7 years until he was defeated in 2008. In 2016, Musharraf sought medical treatment in Dubai and never returned. He had been living in exile ever since.
63. That's the number of Russian soldiers Moscow says have returned from Ukraine on Saturday following a prisoner swap. The troops included some special category detainees who were released after the United Arab Emirates helped facilitate the exchange. However, the Kremlin's defense ministry hasn't provided any details on these particular captives. Meanwhile, the head of Ukraine's presidential office, Andriy Yermak, took to Telegram on Saturday to say that Moscow released 116 Ukrainian troops. Some of these prisoners of war were captured in the eastern city of Bakhmut and from the devastated port city of Mariupol during Moscow's months-long siege surrounding the Azovstal steelworks. This comes amid fresh reports of civilian deaths in Ukraine. President Zelensky's officials say 3 people have been killed by Russian shelling and missile strikes over the past 24 hours. Permanent border controls on the Czech-Slovak border have come to an end. The Czech Republic introduced the move at the end of last September due to increased migration. It was supposed to last 10 days. At the time, officials argued the checks were necessary after authorities detained some 12,000 migrants on the territory last year. The majority were from Syria. Czech Interior Minister Vít Rakusan said this figure has significantly dropped, but confirmed police surveillance will remain in the border area on and off roads. Pope Francis wrapped up his 3-day tour of South Sudan on Sunday, the first papal visit to the largely Christian nation since its separation from neighbouring Sudan in 2011. It later plunged back into civil war in 2013. Before his departure to Rome, the pontiff led an open-air mass at the mausoleum of the former president, John Gargang. The 86-year-old received a rapturous farewell and was greeted by tens of thousands of people in the capital, Juba. Many spectators had waited hours to see the Pope, while others sang and danced upon his arrival. In his final message, Francis begged the faithful to lay down their weapons and forgive each other. When a peace deal was signed in 2018, violence continues to roil the world's youngest nation. Some 2.2 million people are internally displaced, making South Sudan home to the worst refugee crisis in Africa.